Good morning.
Good morning.
How are
How
you?
are you? Oh, I'm just peachy.
Me too.
Just peachy. This morning's been very eventful
Oh,
and
yeah.
and
Do tell.
for strange reasons. Well, you know, I went upstairs because I heard some boom, like almost like lightning or thunder, that.
Hmm.
And I went upstairs to Meg. I said, "Did you hear that a couple times?" And she goes, "Yeah, what is that?" I said, "I don't know." And then I didn't hear it for a little bit. And I went, well, maybe it was just a truck or something going by. And then 10 minutes later, it was like consecutive boom, boom, boom. And I'm like, what in the F? And you know what that stands for.
Yes.
And Meg and I went around the property because it sounds really close, like really close, to the point of shaking. Like the house was shaking. That's how bad it was. I said, is that next door neighbor doing something over there? Like, what is happening? So anyway, we checked the house. Everything was fine. Lo and behold, half hour later, we're skimming on Facebook. It wasn't even a half hour. That's quite the exaggeration, Lori. About 10 minutes later, skimming through Facebook and doesn't someone's post. Is anybody hearing all that banging? What is that? Like, the whole town is in an uproar.
Yes.
Come to find out, baseboarding at the Canadian baseboarding up here, that's not too far from us, is practicing their artillery and their. Could they not let us know? In the environment that we're all in right now, could they
Right?
not let us know, hey,
Jeez.
it's just practice. We're not in a war. Okay?
That's
But
funny.
anyway, so that was our morning, kind of a little bit of an upheaval, but
That happens here. If we want to know anything, I go straight to our Facebook page, our community Facebook page,
yeah.
because people are just as nosy as I am. Like if I don't know what it is, somebody else will. But we have a police firing range not too far from here. And
Oh,
so a lot when they're doing like tactical training or whatever, you hear a lot
yeah.
of gunshots and people are like, "Did you hear that? Did you hear the gunshots?" Like, yeah, it's at the
Yeah.
firing range.
Well, I don't hear it very often, so
That's a new
obviously,
thing.
I don't know. Just
So
trying.
Facebook is good for information sometimes.
God, my hair looks disgusting. Look at the white spot here.
Okay, my hair is nothing but a white spot. But I
I know,
noticed
but I just
that
got
it
mine
looks
colored.
it looks yellow. It's my lighting because I have that light back there is not a bright white. It's a dimmer
I
one because
know.
I don't need it. So yeah, it makes my hair not look as white
It's like
as it
me.
is.
I have these white lights that, you know,
Yeah,
but I also have the window right in front of me. So I get this
the
light
glow.
glow, and then the old me on this side.
So you're like split in half.
Yeah. Anyway, that's that.
Future, past.
Yeah.
That's the way it goes.
Crazy.
Well, I had to go back to the doctor yesterday.
I know.
So,
Tell me.
speaking of, so yesterday I was supposed to get my driver's license done, but I could barely walk again. So I was like,
What do you
I'm
mean
not.
by done?
So I lost my driver's license um last November.
And you're driving around.
I have my old one and I have a driver's license. I just don't have the physical thing. Like if a cop pulled me over, I would say I lost my driver's license. I know my number by heart because I'm that age where you actually memorized your important information. Um, so I wouldn't get a ticket. I would just be told, "Hey, go, get a renewal." And I was going to yesterday, but I couldn't walk again. So I went back to the doctor, but this time I feel like she did a much better job. So yeah, there is the muscle spasm, but there's also pinched nerves. And I did get x-rays. I haven't got the results yet, but I have good motor function, so she's not worried that I need to be, thrown into certain nothing is dramatic happening. Um, but she put me back on steroids again and a good muscle relaxer and some nerve pain medicine. So I am taking all of those. And then she told me to rest. You have to rest. It takes a long time. You have to rest. And so I asked her, I was like, what does that look like? I was like, I don't know how to rest. I need you to tell me. Do I stay in bed all day? Do I lay on the couch? I like, how do I rest? And she's like, okay, you don't have to stay in bed. She said, find a comfortable place. She's like, you can get up and go to the restroom. You can get up and fix yourself something to drink. Don't stay in too long. Don't sit too long. Like, don't do any one thing for a long period of time unless you're laying, like
Yeah.
resting. So I gathered my items and set up my fluffy chair for my workstation for the next 5 days or so. So no more treasure hunting. Even if I feel better, I can't.
You
And
have
that's
to
my
stop.
problem. That's my problem. I'm like, oh, I feel good. I can do this. And I'm tired of being in the house and I want to go do. And anyway,
And
so I'm
through
resting.
that, through the whole story, as sorry as I am for you, because I live with two family members that have issues along those lines, and I know how frustrating it is.
Mhm.
I get it. But the one thing that shocks me all to hell is that y'all could just go to any doctor you want to go to.
Oh, I know. I literally went online and she had a 2 o'clock appointment. I scheduled it and showed up and got treated.
Alrighty. It's not the way it works here, but
I know. I know that just boggles my mind. But yeah.
whatever.
So I am resting. And I asked I can sit in my office chair for a limited period of time, not for 6 hours at a time, not all day,
I
but
already
I
gave her
can.
shit,
Yeah, she
okay,
did.
friends?
She's like, why are you
Because
not in your fluffy
why
chair
are we
doing
doing
this?
this? We don't even have to be doing it. This isn't life or death. You should be resting. But, you know, as long as she's okay with it, I guess there's not much I can say about it. It's
No.
not like I could walk across the street and, give her a
God,
smack in
that
the
would be
back of the
so
head.
amazing.
Oh yeah, you wouldn't like it after a while.
Okay, well, you wouldn't like it either. I could smack you around too, just for different reasons.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, so anyway, I am on the mend. I'm taking my meds. I'm resting. I getting some stuff done that I put off. Um, like for instance, I actually was thinking about this the other day, cleaning up my playlist on my YouTube channel because really all my junk journal stuff is in like a playlist. But I actually had this morning when I woke up and I was reading my messages, somebody asked me if I had a playlist for just all the beaded stuff. And I was like, no, but I should. So I think I'm gonna kind of clean up my YouTube playlist in the fluffy
Yeah,
chair.
that's actually was on my list at the beginning of the year. That to clean out my photos.
Mm-hmm.
I've got, plethora of photos in there that I don't need anymore. Like
No.
I'm not gonna. I've taken screenshot of crap that I don't even know what it was for, why
It's
I did it.
probably to send to me and then you still have the screenshot.
So yeah, I should really clean because I'm thinking to myself, that could be a lot of reason why this computer I have. So it's a iMac, but it's an older one, and I swear it just spins every time I go into something. I have to wait and
It
wait and
probably is
wait for.
bogged
So it's
down.
probably just too loaded. So
Yeah.
I gotta get to that.
So
So
I'm
yeah.
gonna do stuff like that. Doing some creating stuff I can do from my fluffy chair where I don't have to have all the things around
Hmm.
me. So I already have a video done, so I just have to edit and put it up. It was supposed to go up yesterday, but anyway. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. But it's going up now. Are we recording?
Yes, we are.
Okay, good. I was like, wait, did I even push that? Are we
Well,
just
you did.
talking? Oh,
Because
good. I'm glad.
as soon as you said good morning, I looked right up there because I thought, did she hit that?
I
Because
know. Thank you.
yeah,
That would be awful. Anyway,
not
what are we
really.
talking about today?
We're chalking.
We're talking.
we're not talking about anything really. We're talking about childhood memories, good, bad, indifferent, whatever.
Yeah, just
And
childhood memories.
yeah, that's what we're gonna do. So
And it prompted me because you told a story the other day and it made me laugh so hard. And I was like, you know what? We should talk about this on the
yes,
podcast because it's great.
yes. So I'll share that story
Yes.
if you want right
Yes.
now. So many, many moons ago, I think I was 12, and my parents for Christmas bought me a portable radio record player.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole point of it was for me was I could take it outside. I could,
To your friend's house.
we could play records on it, and all the cool stuff,
The
right?
record.
Well, lo and behold, what did they do? They didn't give me batteries. So I got this gift that I can't even use unless it's at home plugged in. So, my friend and I, happened to be up at Kresge's one day. This was a little after Christmas. And, she was looking at stuff and I was looking at stuff. And she says to me, "Oh, you know what we should do? We should get some batteries for your radio record player." I said, "Yeah, I don't have the money for the batteries." I said, but then I go bitch festing on my parents again. Who does that? What kind of a parent does? Anyway, so what do? We put batteries in the bag, my bag,
Mm-hmm.
and we got caught for stealing, the two of us.
Thief.
So my friend was very, very nice at the time. She actually said to the guy, she goes, "Well, she didn't really do it. I put it in her bag." And I said, "Yeah, but her name was Valerie." I said, "Yeah, but Valerie, we both talked about it. So really, we both did it." He was so enthralled with the two of us trying to keep each other out of from underneath the bus that he let us go. So it wasn't a biggie.
With
But
or without the batteries.
oh no, I didn't get the batteries,
Oh, okay.
sadly. But but yeah, the two of us were like, "No, but if I hadn't put it in the bag, yeah, but if I hadn't complained that my mom and dad, anyway, it was a deal, a whole conversation in this man's office." And he goes, "Okay, you know what? I think you guys learned your lesson."
His dad, he was like, I
Yeah.
can't deal with these two teenage girls.
Yeah.
That's
He
so
said,
funny.
"So you can go, but don't let me catch you doing it again, or else I will take you to the police station." So never happened again. But of course, I went home and, sniveled and told on myself. I could have just went home and acted like nothing, but no, I got my parent. Guess what I did today? So yeah, they went and bought me
I
batteries.
was gonna say, did you ever get the freaking
I
batteries?
did. They went and bought me batteries because they said, "Why would you do that?" I said, "Well, the whole reason why I wanted that thing was to, and I'm crying through the whole thing, and yeah.
The
So
only
I got my
thing
batteries.
I stole, oh, sorry, I am taking a yawn anyway, but the medications also makes me like, um, was tidal wave gum. They don't even
I
make it
have never
anymore.
heard of that.
So it was like gushers almost. So it was
Oh,
gum, and if you bit into it, like the juice would gush out, like it had the
oh,
jelly stuff in it. Um, and I don't know why I wanted that so bad because when you grow up very poor, like and you
yes.
those little things, like that is you feel like you are on top of the
So dep
world
yeah.
when you have
And
something that everybody else has.
yeah.
It's even
And
if
and
it
you're
is
so
just gum.
deprived.
Right.
You're so like I couldn't look at having a radio record player and just being grateful for that. No.
No.
I had to have batteries that went with it because I wanted the whole 9 yards. Anyway,
No, I
that's
get
the
it.
thing. So you look at it as, "Oh, everyone else has it. I really want it." You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And you convince yourself that it's just gum, right?
So
But
I'm gonna say I'm gonna tell a story. So if you have kids around who still believe in things, um, you might want to just not let them listen to this part. Okay. One of my core childhood memories is when I found out that there was no such thing as Santa Claus. Except I didn't find out at Christmas. I found out at Easter. I
Oh,
overheard my mom talking to my stepdad about, and she was trying to be very covert in what she was telling him to pick up from the store, but I figured it out. And then I asked her, it's like, is there no such thing? And I don't remember how old was I, like 10, 9? I don't know, somewhere around in there. And she tried to like, yeah. It's like, no, there's not. And she finally told me, she's like, okay, there's not. Oh my God. My reaction was so over the top. I was so angry.
I know.
So angry my whole life. And that's what I told her. My whole life, the
You've been
whole
lying.
is a lie. I can't trust you. You lie about everything. How do I know what you're telling me is the truth? Oh, I lost it. Lost my ever loving mind.
Yeah.
And so over the top. And I don't have a great relationship with my mom, but this is one thing that she did that I give her credit for. Is she finally came, when I let her come in my room and talk to me because I locked her out. Um, by locking her out, we did not have locks on our doors because that is not a thing. If you wanted to keep your parents out, you had to sit in front of the door and put your feet up against something so they couldn't come in. That's how you
Yeah.
let your parents out back in my day. Um, but she said, she said that this is a good thing for you. And I'm like, how? How is this a good thing? You're a liar. Like, just going off. She's like, but now that you know, you get to stay up later and help me.
My mom said the exact same thing.
What? She's like,
Yeah.
yeah. She said, and as I'm filling the baskets, she's like, I get to have a special little treat every once in a while. Like, I may have a little piece of candy. And I was like, okay. All
Yeah.
of a sudden, I
I'm
was
all
like,
right with it
yeah,
now.
I'm a big girl now. Look what I get to do.
Yeah. My mom did say that "Well, now you can come shopping with me and you can
Hmm.
help pick stuff out. And she said, so this is really a good thing
A
for you.
good
It shows
thing.
that you're growing up and you're able to do this now, but you got to keep it from your brother and sister. And
Oh, I knew. Like when she said, you can't tell your brothers and your sister. I was like, in my mind, I remember thinking, hell no, am I sharing this special spot with them? They don't never need to know.
let them find
Never.
out the same way I had to.
And they don't get to stay up late and be special. Like that is only for
No.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a
Yeah.
core. God, I will never forget. I wanted to like. I told her to like take all my stuff, take all the lies, take all the lies.
I know.
Wow, it really affected
Isn't
me
it
in a
funny?
hardcore way when you find
I
out
don't
you've
know
been
that I
lied
was
to.
that upset about it because I think honestly, when I did find out, I was already kind of wondering because kids at school were saying
Hmm.
stuff and you know what I mean? So I already had it in the back of my mind. So when I did find out and I can't even remember how I found out. All I know is she had this look of complete shock on her face that I
Yes, that you knew.
and she's then she started to say the same things your
Yeah,
mom
you're
said
so
to
special.
and I'm like, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. And I'm like, da 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 da. And
Yeah,
so, but even then, it was
so
still,
funny.
especially when my brother and sister still didn't know, and the lie was continuing. And when you hear things like, "Well, you better behave, or Santa's not going to come." I'm like, "Where's that coming?"
Yeah. It doesn't matter
Right,
what you do.
sucker.
Oh, that's so
Yeah.
funny.
So that was a deal, but you know what? It's okay. I got over it apparently.
Yeah, I did
Because
too.
I went and told my kids the same lie.
Liars, bunch of liars.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, that's one. But I'm gonna okay, so I'll tell you on the lines of Christmas. I think one of my all-time favorite, I'm gonna put it up there as a favorite memory, is my parents, as poor as we always had a really good Christmas. So Easter, we'd get new outfit and new shoes, and oh, it was just thebomb.com. Like it was just the greatest, right? And then every holiday, whether it was Easter, Christmas, whatever, we'd pack up and we'd go to my dad's parents. And under their tree, there'd be a crap ton of presents. And we'd have breakfast with them. And it was just the greatest memory of all
Hmm.
time. And I still to that day. And I said to my husband when we were having kids, I want my kids to have that, is
Yes.
well, we can't go crazy. And he's
Yes, we
like, because
can.
the way I was explaining it, I said, yeah, we could get little bits here and there. And as they're little, they're not going to notice the cost of things. And as they get older, then the cost of things are going to have to play a part,
Hmm.
right? Obviously. But um, because as you get older, your toys are a lot more expensive. You
Yeah.
can't buy, six dinky cars in a pack for, I don't know what they were back then, but anyway, that's it. That was my, I think one of my top favorites growing
That
up
was the
was
same
that.
with my grandparents. So with my grandparents, we every Christmas we would get up, we would have Christmas at our house, like Santa Claus Christmas, and then we go to Mama and Papa's. And my grandmother, I love her so much. I miss her so much.
Yeah,
She loved Christmas. Her trees were, she would spend a ridiculous amount of time putting
yeah.
every little piece, every little, like everything had a place. It was great. But
Hmm.
and she'd fix our favorite foods because we were dirt poor. We were just poor is the way it was. So when we went to Momo's house, like we had all the luxurious stuff, like
Yeah,
macaroni and cheese
yeah,
and, you know, candied yams. Oh my gosh. Anyway, as I got older, um, I went shopping with my grandmother. So we all had, you have $100 or whatever it was. Um, to spend on Christmas. Get whatever you want for this amount of money. And so I would go shopping with my grandmother and I mean frugal as heck. I'm on the clearance, I'm on the everything, like so I can get as much as possible with this $100. And then I would have to leave it. And so she would wrap it, it would go under the tree, and then she always had what she always called in little tuck-in gifts. So little extra little things that
yeah.
were above our $100 spending limit. So we always had little tuck-in gifts. That's what she called them.
So talking about spending limit, so this is another Christmas story. Boy, we're right rolling on the Christmas stuff, eh?
Yeah. Well, I
But
mean, honestly, it's probably some of my best memories.
yeah, one year I remember being like deathly sick. I had bronchitis and strep throat. I was sick as a dog. Pleurisy from the bronchitis. I got
Hmm.
pleurisy because anyway, I'm sure it wasn't from bronchitis, but the whole from like
All
here
upper
down was
respiratory.
anyway. And I hadn't gotten any shopping done yet. I hadn't like nothing. And I said to hubby, I said, well, he goes, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to take the boys because by that age they kind of knew what was going on. Well, I think they did because they didn't squabble about it at all. But um, I said to them one day, I said, you know what we're going to do? I said, Mom's really not feeling well. So the three of us are going to go shopping. I'm going to sit in those chairs in the middle of the mall, and you're going to take my card and you're going to go and buy what you want to buy.
The
To
best
this
Christmas ever.
to this day, the two of them said that was the best Christmas they ever had.
Yes.
That I'd say okay, and I'd say which store are you going to? I'm going to this one. Okay, one present for each of you at that store, and then they'd come out, give me the receipt, and I'd look at it and say, okay, next store, and you know what I mean. And I was never very far. It was like right in the middle of the
Yeah.
mall, right? Okay, and you know, away they went, and then they'd come running back with their bag and happy as two pigs in shit, like you would not even believe.
Oh yeah, that's great. That's
So yeah.
awesome. I mean,
Anyway,
those are my
that
favorites when I got to pick out my own stuff. And to this day, it is my favorite. Like it
yeah.
is, I don't like surprises. I am very picky, peculiar, whatever you want to call it, about what I get,
Yeah.
right? And so it's really nice to be able to go and get exactly what you want. And I remember we would go, my grandmother started early, like we're talking about
Yeah.
June, July. So
Yeah.
stuff that I like clothes that I bought or whatever would be hanging in the front closet. And every time I go visit, I'd see my Christmas presents, just like, but I want it now.
Well, I find out now that the boys would find my hiding spot
Mm-hmm.
and they would actually play their video games while I was at work and then wrap it back up and put it. Oh yeah. I find all this out
Gosh,
now
of
because that's what
course.
they used to do, right?
Oh, that's
Little
so
buggers.
funny.
So
That
we
is
laugh
so
about it
funny.
hysterically, but whatever. It is what it is, right?
Another memory I have, and it's so silly, but this it reminds me of Delaney so much, is one of my grandmothers. Y'all, I have a lot of family. My parents got married a whole bunch of times, so I'm not even going to try to differentiate. But one of my grandmothers was tiny, like short, little, like she was just a little petite thing. So she
A
had
little
small
petite.
feet.
Yeah.
Well, I don't I was in elementary school and I got her shoes as hand-me-downs and they had like
Wow.
a little kitten heel on it, right? And oh my, I felt so grown. I can't even tell you how grown I felt with these little shoes on.
Yeah.
And I wanted to show off my shoes. Now, the only way back in the day that you could show off your outfit was not by social media because we didn't have that. Nobody, no. You had to get up and sharpen your pencil. That was the way that we showed
The
off our stuff, as we would
in
get up
in
and in the
in
middle of
going
class
into school, coming out of school, and sharpening your
and
pencil, and
sharpening
you
the
do a little
pencil.
twirl.
Yes. So I remember getting up to sharpen my pencil, not because it needed sharpened, because I had on the cutest shoes and I needed
Yeah.
everyone to see my cute shoes. But
Oh
they
my
were
God, is that?
loud. I didn't realize how loud they'd be in a very quiet room. And there was no carpet. It was like hardwood floor
No, it
or
is. Yeah.
whatever, right? So I'm like clunk,
Yeah.
clunk, 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 to sharpen my pencil. And by the
Oh
time I
my
got to the
God.
pencil sharpener, I was like embarrassed
Yeah.
because I was making so much noise in my very cute shoes. So ridiculous. But yeah, and it reminds me of Delaney, how she loves to wear her
She
little
does.
high heels, is what she
Yeah.
calls them.
Yeah. She's too cute.
So I get
So
it.
one of mine was uh okay. I don't know which one to pick. Some of these make me sound like a real juvenile delinquent. Okay. I'm not gonna lie. But I really wasn't. I was a very nice kid.
Okay.
Okay. And I have to make sure you people realize that, you know, I'm not nasty. Okay. So I used to play with our friends, Nicky Nicky Nine Doors. Does anybody know what that is? You knock on people's doors and run
And
away.
run.
Well, one time I was running from somebody's house playing and I fell in a hole and sprained my ankle. And he caught me laying on his front lawn because I couldn't move. I, he goes, "That serves you right for knocking on my door and running away." And right away it's like, wasn't me. It was all of them. Meanwhile, I'm the one laying on his front lawn with my foot in a hole. But I remember that because it terrified me. I
That's
never
so
did it
funny.
again. I never did it again.
I was always too scared to do stuff like that because I knew I'd be like you. I'd be the one to get caught.
Yeah.
So, funny little tidbit about me. Believe it or not, I was a very quiet and shy kid. I very, very,
Really?
oh yeah. I did not learn how to be vocal and stand up for myself until after I met Kenny at 21.
Really?
Yep. I was
Wow.
very quiet, very shy. Whatever you want, that's what I'll do. Okay. I was grounded for 9 months and
No.
never, yes.
How does that
And
happen?
well, my parents were not great, but it's because I wasn't allowed to have a boyfriend. But I had one because he asked me out. Okay, funny story. So we're going to talk about this, right? I was in high school. Okay, so I was in high school. I was in drama class, and Jeff Hutchinson. Um, we were practicing the play Cyrano de Bergerac. Don't ask me
Oh
why I
my
remember
God.
that, but it just
How do you
pops into
remember that stuff?
it's a core memory, like it just is. And I remember we were like practicing or whatever, and he looked at me. He said, "I have a question." I was like, "What?" He goes, "Will you go with me?" And I was like, "Go where?" Where we going? Like to the office? Like what do you need to do? He's like, "No,
Oh,
will you be my girlfriend?" I was like, "Okay." I'm so dumb. I don't know anything, y'all. Nothing. Nothing about high school stuff. Anyway, but I couldn't have a boyfriend. I couldn't go anywhere. So my best friend would go on dates with him and then and tell
are
me
you
how they
kidding?
were. No.
Oh my God.
So I did get up the nerve to go to the mall with my girlfriends, and I met him there. Well, my stepmom found out, and I got grounded for 9 months.
Oh
Because
my
every
God.
time I was like, okay, can I be ungrounded now? Nope, you haven't learned your lesson. It was, she wasn't the best person in the world. But yeah, but that going back to me being very compliant and whatever, I just accepted it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, never did I try to do anything. And so yeah, I was a very quiet, shy, timid
Oh,
little wallflower.
I remember one time my sister ran away from home and shocker, the drama queen that she is. And my parents are like, well, we need to go find her. And I'm like, why?
Why?
And what do you mean, why? She'll come home as soon as she gets bored enough and just caused enough distraction, she'll be home. Why are you all running around like chickens with your head cut off? Okay, well, you stay here with your brother. I will do. I'm not going anywhere.
Right? I don't care if she comes back home or not.
Yeah, yeah.
Ah, yep.
So the other thing I did was talking about boyfriends is I had this friend who had a brother that was maybe a year or so, maybe not 2 years, but a year and a little bit older than me. And his name was Rory. Oh my God, I love this guy. Okay.
Oh yeah.
I thought this guy was the cat's meow. And so one day we were at her house and he was there and he's like, okay, well, what do you want to do? And and he says, oh, why don't we go in the backyard and box? We had some
Boxing
they
gloves.
had boxing gloves and I'm not like, okay. I'm thinking, what's the worst that could happen? Well, I got a broken nose. Okay. That's what happened. My love of my life, according to me, broke
Punched
my
you.
nose.
That's me.
So I was like, my nose is bleeding and he's frantic, right? He's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I was like, like this. And I'm, don't worry. And I'm trying to cover it all up and
It's all good.
it's all good.
But you still love me.
No, well, he didn't even know I liked him. That's the thing. This is just a vision in my own mind that, one day we were going to be husband and wife.
Okay.
And well, he'd probably be batting me around by now. Who knows? Domestic abuse,
Okay, that was a
Anyway.
good indicator. Like, don't date
Oh,
him.
yeah.
He's not good for
But
you.
no, in all honesty, we were just hacking around and he just clipped me one and to this day, my nose is still crooked a
Yeah.
little.
Most of the time they don't grow back straight.
No,
That is
but I
so
cannot believe how much
funny.
it bled. Holy crow. It was bad.
We lived in a haunted house.
No.
Yeah.
How come I don't know this?
I don't
Did
know.
you
I thought
mention
we've
it
talked
before?
I think we've talked about it before.
Oh.
So we lived on
Secrets are always safe with me.
they are. We lived on an old plantation. Um
Oh.
and so we lived there and we got to live in the house for free, but we had to like work the plant to like the land,
Yeah.
we all the
Yeah,
things,
yeah.
the cows and the everything, right? So
Right.
we helped
Yeah.
him take care of everything.
Yeah.
And there was there was our rinky house that
Yeah.
had zero air conditioning. We still live in Texas, okay?
Yeah.
Uh, um, and then there was a building, and then there was the garden, and then there was the plantation home, and that's where he lived.
Yeah.
My God, that house. Oh, loved it so much. Anyway, the building between um was the house for slaves. I'm just gonna say it. Like it wasn't my house, we didn't do it, but
Yeah.
that's, in the past that's what it was.
Why do we
And
feel the need to do that? Like,
well, it was
anyway,
to
go
work the
ahead.
land.
I understand that, but at this point in our lives, do we
Oh,
have
I
to
know.
explain that you weren't part of that? No, I
I
don't.
don't know.
Anyway,
But
go ahead.
so in the house we lived in, little weird stuff would happen. Like stuff would go missing. The piano played by itself. My mom had a piano.
Oh,
She played the piano in church. So we had a piano. And it would play just by itself.
random.
And uh well, I remember this vividly. We were sitting at the dining room table, and there was a shelf above the stove, and that's where the salt and pepper shakers and stuff sat. They just flew right off the wall, like just boop,
Oh my
like
gosh.
somebody would went and just swiped them off. Stuff would, like I said, stuff would go missing. We would hear weird noises. We just named him George and just accepted the fact that mischievous, but not like harmful. Nothing bad happened, just goofy little crap like that.
Wow.
Knocking on the doors, like you would just hear, random knocking. Nobody's knocking. Oh yeah, crazy. Crazy, crazy. TV would just shut off. We'd be watching TV, just shut off.
That's shocking.
It's weird. So we named him
Okay, so
George.
one of mine. Um, okay, so on the scary note, seeing we all have scary stories, but again, the nasty Lorie that I am, um, I used to tell my sister there was something under her bed.
Oh
I, I, I'd sit up in my bed and I'd go, and she'd go, what? What? I said, there's something under your bed. Oh my God, it's crawling around. Oh my God. And it would freak her right out. I did that every night.
my
Oh,
gosh.
yeah.
That is terrible. That is terrible.
No, karma is the bitch, baby, because
Yeah.
she did
She's a
things to
nasty
me too.
person. I know.
Yeah. So no, I don't feel bad. I just found it's a memory I have because
You
I
enjoyed
found it
it.
funny. I thought it was funny.
Yeah, it's
She didn't
great.
like it so much. But
That's funny.
that's it. What else do I have?
What else do you have?
Okay. Okay. Oh, here's one. This was very traumatic for me. So my mom had my hair was like in ringlets. My hair was it.
You
Okay.
have
Down.
naturally curly hair. You just
Oh
choose
yeah,
not to
down. It
embrace
was
it.
down to my bum and beautiful. Okay, hair. And it's probably why I'm terrified to go to a hairdresser in my adult life because of this scenario. So my mom went into the hospital to have my brother and um, my grandmother, my dad's mom, took us. And so my mom made a list of the things and she goes, don't forget, brush Lori's hair. That is. So she did that for a couple of days. And after the second day, she marched me up to the barber and cut it all off. All my hair to a pixie cut. I sat and cried the whole time. The guy was doing it. And when my mom got out of the hospital, it was a problem. It was a problem.
Oh, I bet it
But
was.
yeah, it
Oh,
was
that's
like up to
awful.
my no curls, no nothing, everything gone.
That's
So yeah,
so,
that could be the reason why
yeah, you
hairdressers are
have,
traumatic for me. That could be
yeah,
a
it's a
that
trigger.
was that was one thing that I remember specifically.
So I remember just, um, how old was I? 12, give or take, when my parents found religion, and I'm going to just call it religion. Um, and all of a sudden, we were not allowed to wear pants. We were not allowed to cut our hair. It was, biblical. And it is in the Bible. It's anyway. Um,
Anywho,
That's not how that's not what God intended, just saying.
no.
But yeah, so I could no longer cut my hair. Well, I have very, very, very thick hair, very
Hmm.
coarse, thick hair. I would have migraines because my hair was down to my butt and it would just pull. I mean, I could just
So
remember just like
heavy.
pulling and we weren't allowed to wear, I had to wear dresses everywhere. I was a tomboy. Okay. You know how hard it is to climb trees and ride bikes and jump ramps with a dress on? It's hard, but I made it work. Um, but I will never forget though, talking about tomboys. So that's just a little tidbit about religion, not being able to cut hair. It reminded me.
Mm.
So one time, I always had to be responsible for my siblings while my parents worked. So I watched my siblings all the time. Um, but I wanted to go outside and play. So I made them come out. So we're all playing, and I was jumping a ramp with my bicycle. And then I hear the phone ring, and I knew it was my mother checking on us, seeing if I was doing everything right. So I took off running. Now, tell me why I don't wear shoes. I don't know. I don't know why I'm not wearing shoes, but I'm not wearing shoes as I'm out doing all this stuff. So I take off running to go answer the phone. There was a metal coat hanger in the road and I trip over it. Well, the hook part goes into my ankle, and as I follow
Oh,
through with my other foot, it rips a hole. And I have a big scar where the hole was. I didn't tell my mom, and it got infected.
no. Mm.
And then I had to go to the emergency room and they had to scrub it out with a brush. Oh, it's awful.
Oh my God, that sounds horrific.
It was very horrific because it was in, I mean, there was rocks and pebbles and dirt all encrusted in there. Oh yeah, it was it was a thing.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
it didn't stop me.
Wow.
I know.
Okay, so the other, I'm going to save the one that's dear to my heart for the last, but this one I have is, so when I was younger, I belonged to drum and bugle corps. You
I've
might know that
seen,
as your high school bands and
yes.
whatever. Anyhow, many years we spent in that. We used to travel in our summer break from school. We used to travel to the States and do competitions with the States and, that kind of stuff. And we used to sleep in gymnasiums.
Yeah.
So, we'd pull up out of school, we'd practice in their football field, and da 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 da. But at night, when we are supposed to be sleeping and you're up farting around and not doing what you're supposed to be doing, they would haul your rear ends out front of the school and you had to stand there in line, perfect line, like arm on the next
Hmm.
shoulder in line, and you had to stand there for however long it took for everyone to be quiet. And sometimes there were people that just could not be quiet.
Were you
And
were you one of those people?
no, as soon as I got hauled out there, I thought, okay,
Zip it.
just zip it. I mean, when you first got out there, we're still giggling because of what we did in the gym and whatever. But yeah, it was all on good fun. But yeah, that's what we had to do. And then you know, and then if it was a Sunday, they'd say, okay, whoever isn't going to church today has to clean the gymnasium. Well, I became Catholic right away. I'm going to church. Isn't that horrible? It's horrible. But yeah, But you know what? I ended up enjoying it. I liked the environment and the, all that kind of stuff. So it was a good thing, but I just didn't want to clean that gym.
Who would?
Yeah.
Who would?
Yeah.
That's
So
so
anyway,
funny.
that was a good childhood memory. I remember that. But
That's awesome. That's awesome. I had a memory and then it's gone.
oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Well,
It's funny is without going into great detail, I did not have a great childhood. There was a lot of abuse in my childhood. So I'll have a memory will pop up in my head and I'm like, okay, I'm not sharing that one.
I
So I
can't tell
keep,
that one.
yeah, I'm not doing that one. So all of these keep popping into my head as we're talking about this. So I'm trying to filter out those and find the good ones so I
Yeah.
can talk about those. So that's
Uh-huh.
why I'm like, nope, nope, nope.
Yeah.
Uh, but I don't want to go into the horribleness of my childhood, but I mean, I did have some good memories. You know,
Yeah, I mean,
good things happened.
my childhood wasn't the best either. I think again, not going into grave detail, but there was things happened that probably shouldn't have in front of us and stuff like that
Yeah.
and you know, but I turned out okay. I'm not on, cycle medication or anything else like that. So obviously it didn't have that much of an impact on me. Um, but the one thing that I will say, and I think it's the last one I have, because I had the Christmas one, the batteries. Oh no, there's one other that I had I didn't tell you about. But okay, so I'm going to tell you this one because I want the last one to be the best one. So the other thing we used to do is me and my friends. So we have this transit system in Toronto. It's called the Toronto Transit Commission, and it's streetcar, and it runs from one end of uh, I'm going to say Ontario, but it's not. But it's a long way, all the way to the other. You could
Hmm.
ride that thing all day, and that's what we did. We would get on it and ride that thing all day long.
That's
Why?
funny.
Now I look at it and think to myself, well, what was that all about? Right? But we had the best time. We'd run out the door and make it to the next before the doors closed to the next cart. And then, you know what I
You just
mean?
made it a game.
It was just the best. Those days, especially when it was raining and you couldn't do much outside, we go, okay, let's go to the TTC. By then it was like what, 10 cents to get on? Now it's like $1,000. I don't know.
$100. Oh, that's so
But
funny.
yeah, we'd get on and just ride that sucker until the lights are almost coming on and it's time to go home,
Uh,
right?
yeah.
Yes.
So I actually two very good memories popped into my head. So I'll
Okay,
say
good.
one and then I'll say the other. I'll say it doesn't matter. So my grandparents, I'm like, my grandparents, um, the grandparents I was always very, very close to, Mama and Papa. They're both passed, but they would go on these vacations. My grandfather was able to retire early, and so him and my
Mm,
grandmother would just go travel. They just traveled everywhere and they did all this cool stuff. Well, they took me on vacation with them one time, more than one time, but this one time. And our destination was Michigan because they had family in Michigan. But we stopped at all these amazing places on the way. Like we went to old historical homes because my grandmother loved that kind of stuff. And I think that's where I
yeah,
get it from, like the vintage, the old,
yeah,
that kind of stuff. Old historical homes. Like we just, all the way there, we just stopped and did the most fun old people things that I loved. um, that is an amazing memory for me.
yeah,
Is just all the cool stuff that I got to do.
yeah.
Um, and I'll share my last one and then you can share your last one.
Okay.
Uh, so that was one. Then this one, another vacation, except we were going to Virginia because that's where my mother lived, and we were going to go visit my mom. Now I was 15. It's probably about 15 at this time. And so we're going, and about halfway through the drive, I can't sit. Like it hurt so bad to sit. And we don't know why, but we're still going. And again, I'm quiet and shy and I'm timid, so I'm not saying hardly
The
anything,
word,
you
yeah.
know. Um, so we're still stopping on the way and going to all these places and doing all the things. And like the last leg of the trip, it was so bad that I ended up on my knees leaning over the ice chest. So we always had an ice chest right in the middle, because you don't have to stop and pay ridiculous amounts. You have your own stuff. I had to just lean over. I could not sit. By the time we got to Virginia and they took me to the doctor, because at this point they're like, something's wrong, you can't sit. I had a
Yeah.
cyst on my tailbone
Oh my gosh.
that they had to remove. So the rest of the vacation, like at when I was at my mom's, I could do nothing. I was laying on my stomach because I had this like open wound on my butt.
Oh my
But by
God.
the time we had to come back to Texas, I could sit again. So, but the whole week, like I think it was 5 days. I think the last 2 days I was able to do some stuff, but like the first 5 days I couldn't do anything. I had to lay on my stomach.
That's crazy.
And then I had fun on the way back because we stopped at a bunch of places, and
Yeah.
so, but yeah, I had a just random popped up cyst on my tailbone. They had to surgically remove it.
No accounting, eh?
Nope, never know. But if I had to pick any of my core memories that are amazing, it's always with my grandparents.
Yeah.
Always, or my aunt. I love my aunt to death. We have fun and we do stuff. Just
Yeah.
more as an adult than as a kid. So,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, so that was my
Okay.
last one.
Well, my last one is I had a best friend growing up, who's since found me on my YouTube channel,
Oh
which is
yeah,
fantastic.
that's awesome.
And we were sidekicks. The two of us were just like inseparable. And it was, the best friendship ever. And the one thing that her family, see, we basically raised on two sides of the train tracks, I'll tell you, because, she had a loving, caring family with, three sisters, well, two sisters and herself. And, it was her parents were fabulous. And I just loved being anywhere that they were. It was just, it just was so calming to me. And so it just never felt like upheaval. Even when there was a family disagreement or whatever, it
Hmm.
was always laughter afterwards. And you know what I mean? Unlike in my house, it doesn't work that way.
Right?
But
No.
yeah, it was a fantastic way to grow up. And again, she was with me through the drum corps thing, and that's probably who I got in most of the trouble with in the gymnasiums and the
Right?
stuff like that. And to this day, when she comments on my YouTube channel about my crookedness. She goes, "Yeah, you get that from drum corps because we weren't allowed to be crooked. Nothing was allowed to be. Everyone straight line, straight this." And
Everything.
so, and I said, "Yeah, it's probably true." But yeah, I think that was one of my most favorite memories was her and her family helping me navigate life, and
That's
that was the
awesome.
best. Yeah, yeah,
We moved around too much for me to have anything like that.
yeah. Well, we
So,
moved around too, but it was always in the same type of area. Like it
oh
just felt
yeah,
like
not
every other
us.
month we were getting
Evicted.
moved or something. I don't
I
know. I don't know
know.
the ins and outs of it all, but knowing what I know now as an adult, I would say probably,
Yeah,
you know. But
that's the way it was with us. And then
yeah,
jobs. So, I mean, we ended
yeah.
up moving from Texas to Virginia for a job. I lasted a whole month and I'm like, no.
Well,
So,
my dad, bless his heart. He had a kind, I think that's where I get my kindness from, is from him sometimes, is he had this job at the Board of Education. So was a caretaker in the schools. So one time he went to this high school and he had to, you know, take care of this high school, but the high school had a swimming pool. So what does he do? He invites his friends and he invites us, and we're all in the pool. And doesn't the superintendent come, and he's got his whole family and friends, and he lost his job. Now, I know he was just trying to give us some fun, but at the same time, we really could have used the paycheck, Dad.
Right.
Like, so that's that.
That's awesome. Okay.
That's kind of the end of my
Yeah,
stories.
me too.
The ones that I can remember. I've probably blocked a shit ton out that we can't
Well,
share on here without antidepressants handing
I
out.
know. Well, because I mean, I'm okay with how my childhood, I mean, yeah, it sucked and it was awful when I was a
Yeah,
kid, but I'm over it. But I don't want to
yeah.
drag other people down. I don't want
No,
people to be like, oh, so that's
poor
why I don't want to
them. Yeah,
share. That's not
no,
what this is about. It's not
no,
about
I
that.
agree.
So,
Totally agree. But that's
so
that.
that's that. All
Thanks,
right.
thanks for sharing your stories with me.
I know. Thank you. Now you know I lived in a haunted house.
Yeah, okay. Bye.
Bye.